Hey there, welcome to my channel. My name is Linda. I've got some fun crafts for you today. I also have a few sweet friends who will be joining me. I'll explain those details a little bit later. So what are we waiting for? Let's get started. Today we'll be working on some DIY thrift flips, but they are inspirations from Pinterest and they definitely are dupes. So the products I'm using today I found in thrift stores. This $1 vase. I love the shape of it. This was actually given to me. I think a friend of mine found it at a garage sale. This is something I just recently found at the Great Junk Hunt. It cost me $5. And then this cute muffin tin found again at the Junk Hunt for $4.25. If you missed that video, I'll have the link down below. Let's get started with project number 1. But first, let's take a look. This is my inspiration. I mostly liked the butterfly, obviously, and I wanted to use the vase to go with it. So I'm using this burlap from Dollar Tree. This is just some lace fabric I got at Joann's a few years ago. It's a little bit thicker, but almost like tulle, so you could use tulle if you want. I've got two patterns here. A butterfly, of course, I drew out. One's bigger and one is smaller. There'll be a link to my blog in the description box where there is a free printable for you, so you don't have to worry about trying to draw your own. For this, I'm using this Beacon Stiffen stuff. This stuff is absolutely awesome. There's a lot of those fabric stiffeners out there like Eileen's and stuff like that takes you like forever to stiffen it, and it still never seems to get stiff enough after 10 rounds. So I spray this stuff once and it just turns out really stiff. And then it says you can set it with your heat tool, dry it with your heat tool, which is unlike a lot of the other product. Most of those you have to kind of let set overnight. And it was already like really stable then, and I'm like, well, how stiff much more can it be? And so I did it one more time, and as you can see here, I'm just kind of trimming off the excess pieces of burlap around the edges of this butterfly to make it all nice and clean looking. And you can see it is just like flat as I'm flipping and turning it around. There's no movement to this thing whatsoever. I love this stuff. I will have a link down below for you if you're interested from the Beacon website, and I'll try to find it on Amazon as well. You just cannot go wrong with this Beacon stiffened stuff. I love how it's called stiffened stuff. So now I'm just taking both pieces to my sewing machine, and I just want to add a little texture, a little personality around it. If you like to sew by hand, needle and thread, you could do that with this as well, of course. I'm using a darker thread because through the larger kind of open weave of the burlap, I want you to be able to see it. I want you to see the contrast, otherwise why am I doing it? It sewed really well through that, and I think because of our stiffened stuff, made it nice. All right, and then through this tulle fabric, if you're a sewer, and you probably know if you're an experienced sewer or whatever, but I did kind of just take it slower and longer stitches so that it wouldn't like pucker and gather, and it seemed to work really well, but it does just add a little something to our butterflies. So here's what this looks like. It looks nice with the contrasting thread, but if you don't want to sew it at all, of course, don't do it. And obviously, they are not sewn together. And now all you're going to do is just scrunch the center nice and easy, and you can shape your wings and stuff with that stiffened stuff. I keep saying stuff a lot. And then I'm taking a long piece of twine, just going to wrap it a couple of times around the center. It looks totally cute already. You don't need to add anything else to it, but I do add a little bit more. And I'm just going to tie it off in a knot in the back and cut off the excess tails of that twine. And then I have a bow I've already made. This is just some silk ribbon from my supply. And I'm using one of these garland things from Dollar Tree. I'm going to use the tag and a couple of the brown beads. And I'm just going to tie that tag onto the center of that bow with some twine. And once I get that hooked on there, I'm just going to make another little bow right here with the twine. And then I'm going to add a brown bead on the end of each one. I think I do that off camera. And then I go ahead and glue that bow ensemble to the front of the butterfly. Now what I've done is taken a long piece of twine. I kind of, weaved it through the back of the twine on that back of that butterfly, and I'm wrapping that twine around the jar several times. I think I do it about 5 times around the vase, excuse me. And I do that because I don't want to just glue the butterfly onto the vase. It's personal preference, you can, but my vase is clear and I don't want to see that glob of glue from the back side. So wrap it around there a few times, and then I come up underneath the butterfly and I tie a few knots to make sure it's nice and stable there, and then I'll pull the twine up over the top, still behind the butterfly, tie a few knots, Okay, I'll add some glue in there, and then when I do glue that, it's gluing to the twine that I've wrapped around the vase. If you have a vase that you don't see through or anything, you don't have to worry about it. Just glue the freaking butterfly onto the front. But I'm here all trying to hide it so I can make this as a gift. You know how it goes. I'll add a little glue on the back side as well, and then once I get everything where I want and it's stable, tied into a knot, cut off the excess tails. Okay? Then the next thing I want to do is I want to go ahead and add some flowers in there. These are the tulips that I got at Walmart during Easter time. I love them. I just think they're so realistic and beautiful. And I just kind of want to lean them to the side. I could call this done, but of course I want it to look like there's a little fake water in the bottom, about 1 inch. So I am actually going to use this clear Elmer's glue. It doesn't yellow or anything, but if you use this glue, it literally takes a week to 2 weeks to dry, and I'm not even kidding. But I don't have to, I'm just going to set it aside somewhere where it's not going to tip over, and, in a week to 2 weeks, I'm going to walk by and go, it's dry. So there you go. But if you want to dry it quicker, because maybe it's a quick gift for somebody or something like that, there's stuff that's like called realistic water you can get off Amazon. That takes about 24 hours to dry. Or you can get that epoxy A and B resin. You mix the two together, pour it in. That takes even less than 24 hours to dry. You've got lots of options, or maybe just no water at all. Just put the flowers in there and your project is done. I love how this turned out. I think it would be a beautiful, quick gift, because I know Mother's Day is now. You could do it for something like that, or just a beautiful decor piece in your home. We'll take a look at the final results at the end of the video. What do you think? Let's move on to project number 2. So for this project, this is my inspiration. It's just a very small, cute little bird cage I found with a little like muffin tin thing on the bottom. So we're going to use that big muffin tin. I found at Junk Hunt. Now I'm going to use different spray paint. For this one, it's like a light color. I just want it with that sand stuff in it just for texture. And then I'm going to use kind of this bronze and light gray and maybe a little bit of black. I'm just going to kind of spritz and spray. Here I am outside. It's a beautiful day, but it's a little bit chilly, a little bit windy. But I kind of start out with that texture spray. I know I'm going to cover it up because it's the only color I have. And then I kind of go in with that darker kind of bronzy, dark gray spray, a little bit of light here and there. I come back in with the black, add some splatters, back over it with the, darker gray, just however you want to do it. I'm trying to kind of make it look like this galvanized wire I have, because it's kind of a rustic looking grayish black. And then once it's still wet, I'm kind of pushing my hand against the tin to pull off some of that spray paint so it looks like it's just a little bit old. This is what it looks like. All right, and I added just a little bit of kind of dark brown paint just with my finger around the top edges. Now, I know I have a lot of this gel foam down here because I was kind of doing stuff with it. And then I'm like, I was going to just put in big pieces. And then I'm like, I need to use up all these little chunks. So I start cutting it up, putting all these little pieces in there. About partway through, I'm like, I forgot to punch my holes. So I get all this stuff in there and I pull out my crocodile tool, which I use the smaller size of the hole, and I punch holes in all of the little scalloped areas there all the way around my pie tin. As I'm doing that, all my little pieces I'm trying to use up are falling out. Not a big deal. We'll put them all back in. I do off camera. I kind of glue them all in with hot glue, but I know it looks funny with these tiny pieces. But here's my galvanized wire I was trying to sort of match. I cut 8 big, long, tall pieces. You want to cut your wire as tall as you want your bird cage, basically. And I'm going to go from like one side to the other with each wires I put in. So I start in the corners, scrunch it together, of course. Sometimes I use my fingers. Sometimes I use some little pliers. Once I get it through the hole, I wrap it around, cut off the excess. I go directly across to the hole next to it. Got about 1 inch sticking out. Push it up against that wire, squish it through, wrap it around. Here and now, this time I'm using pliers. The other time I use fingers, but just kind of doing a little swirly around it, cutting off the excess. And I'm going to do that process, continuing that all the way around until I get my wires in. I'm going to guess my wires, each of them were probably about 36 inches long because I really want a tall bird cage. Once I get everything together, now I've got all my wires. I kind of took them all together in one clump at the tip top, and I've got another just long piece of wire, and I'm wrapping it around all of those bunched up at the top. Okay, and I'll wrap it around 2 or 3 times. I'm trying to do this on purpose, of course. I'm wrapping it around. Once I get that, then I twist it at the top. I cut off the excess, And then I take my little round needle nose pliers, and here's part of the purpose is I want my wires long so I can add a little whimsical touch and provide some curly cues at the top. But then the wire in the center is also going to help hold my other wires, obviously. So what I'm doing is once that I've got all that together at the top, now I can spread all my wires out, but I'm going to do that a few more times with some more longer pieces of wire in between other sections of wire to hold all my wires apart in different areas, if that's understandable. You know what I mean? So I did that same thing again, but I switched places, like I went between two other different wires up to the top, through the center, wrap it around, add some more wires. And then I didn't want my birdcage round at the top. I wanted it square, so you can see how I kind of squared it up at the top. And here's where I wrapped some wire just around in a circle just to give it whimsy. Doesn't really do much else, but I made it really loose and wiry, circly, I guess. Add some whimsy, and now I'm going to take a few more pieces of wire. See, I'm going through a different spot than the original pinch center. Going to wrap it around, leave some excess, curly cue the ends. It's just all for fun and whimsy part of it. As I said, the other part is to help hold everything in place. Okay? And now what I'm doing, this is totally optional too, is I've got another long piece of wire, and I'm just taking that and I'm wrapping it around each vertical wire of the bird cage. I just kind of pull it through and just wrap it around and make a little circle. I'll freeze the video here in a minute. Right there. See, it's just a really loose little wrap. It'll kind of help hold those vertical wires apart a little bit and keep them in place, but it also kind of adds to the whimsy that I did on top. So I hope this is all understandable, okay? And so I'm going to finish all the rest of this around off camera. It's really loose. I can move it up and down to the position I want. You don't have to do that, but I wanted to, but see what it looks like. And then right at the end to the left, right there where it looks kind of curly cue, the little end piece I was done with, I curly cued it around the wire and cut off the excess to tie it in place. All right, now I'm going to use some reindeer moss here, some regular moss. Now I got to cover up all my bits and pieces of that gel foam, right? So I didn't film all of it because the camera was just focused on the top of the bird cage. You couldn't really see it, but you can see I've got like my hot glue gun out here and just kind of gluing it and making sure I cover up all that green. Here's a little bit better. It's not so focused on the tip top as I'm adding in that reindeer moss. And now once that's done, I've got a little ceramic bird here. I think you can get them at like Michael's, stuff like that. You can use any birds you want. I know Dollar Tree has the feathered birds and things like that. I've got some light brown paint here. I'm adding some baking soda to it with some texture. And then I'm using a round foam pouncy brush, and I'm just pouncing that paint on. I do a couple of coats to get it how I like it. Let that dry, and then we'll add just a little bit more definition to it by using this Debbie's Design Diary DIY white wax, kind of putting it on with my finger, and then I take a little bit of a towel and I rub it better so it's not so bright and bold. Set that aside. Now I'm going to use some more galvanized wire here. And did I mention I got this galvanized wire in the hardware section at Walmart? I'm just cutting a long piece, and I'm going to just take it at the top and form like a oval with it, okay? And then one side is shorter, the other side is longer, like your stem, and take that shorter side and wrap it around the longer side, cut off your excess. And then I kind of took some pliers and, you know, the part I cut off, I squished against the stem, and now it looks like a little balloon basically, right? Pull it out a little bit at the top, and then you can either use your finger, or I use some of the round needle nose pliers and I push downward in the center, and now we have like a little heart. All right, I've done one off camera already. This is my second one. I'm cutting off the excess here. I want it a little shorter than the other one. And then I'm just taking it onto some scrapbook paper and I'm tracing around the outer edge of that heart. Of course, now I'm going to cut that heart out. And then I'm going to use some of my Fabri-Tac glue, and I just want a really thin line all the way around that border, around that perimeter, because, you know, the wire is not really thick and I don't want the glue to bleed out. But just a really thin line, a really thin line of glue, enough to smush the paper next to the heart. And then when you're done, I've got two cute little hearts here. I just think this is going to be really cute inside our bird cage. Now I've got a stick from the backyard, nice and easy. I'll turn the view. I can talk today. Turn the view for the bird cage here in just a moment, but I need this part where I can see how I'm sticking my stick in. And now this is just a floral vine. It's from my scrapbooking days from my supply. I'm going to go ahead and add that into. You can use any like flowers from Dollar Tree or anything like that. Now I've got my view changed for you. I'm adding some hot glue and on the bottom of the bird. I'm going to tuck my bird in. We're going to tuck our cute little hearts in. I'm not putting much in here because I just want everything to kind of stand out on its own. I've got some butterflies here I punched from cardstock. I'll share the punches with you later in one of the other projects, but I'm placing 3 little butterflies along in here. I think this bird cage turns out so super cute with not a lot in it. The last thing we do is I've got these dimensional stickers from Dollar Tree. It happens to have one that says Our Nest. I tuck some wire behind the foam that already comes on the back so that I could tuck it into the foam at the bottom of our bird cage. That makes this project complete. We'll take a look at the final results at the end of the video. What do you think? Before we move on to our next project, today's video is in collaboration with my sweet friends Emily, who is Farm Charm Chic here on YouTube, and Sandra from the Schwoven's Nest. I love these ladies with all my heart. I love their crafting designs. We have collaborated together before. I'm sure we will do it again in the future, but we decided to come today to bring you a lot of thrift flip inspiration. I'll have a link down below in my description box as well as pinned in my comments to our playlist so you can find all our videos in one spot for tons of inspiration for all your crafting endeavors. Make sure you check it out. With that said, let's move on to project number 3. For this inspiration, this is what I found. It was on Pinterest, but it actually came from antiquefarmhouse.com. I love that site. And this is that little thing. I had my husband kind of cut the top off a little bit, and I've got a thick piece of circle wood. You could use those thick circles from Dollar Tree. I'm just going to glue on the top. Nice and easy. I'm going to use Beacon Quick Grip Glue. It works nice and fast. I do go ahead and just kind of let it set for about 10 minutes before you can work with it. All right. And then we move on to the rest of our project. So I've marked my center of my circle and I will attach that bottom to the top. I'm using this vase I got at Dollar Tree because I love how round it looks. I thought it went in with the roundness of this little thing. Why can I not think of the word of this? For our project today, and 2 tall candles from Dollar Tree. Now, I'm going to melt the wax out of them. You, of course, can just reuse the wicks that already come in it, but I have kind of a candle making kit, and I have this little thing of wicks and all that stuff. I'm going to go ahead and use it because the wick is shorter. Comes with little stickies, and then it's got this neat little thing you just place on the top of the jar. I'll try to find it on Amazon for you, a little kit like this. Place this on top of the jar over the wick, move the wick into position. You don't got to wrap it around a stick or anything. All right, so while we're waiting, I've got my water just kind of doing a nice little simmer, and I'm going to stick our candles right in there, just 2 of them, and I let it go for probably about half an hour and get it boiling a little bit more and get all that wax melted. Okay? While that's melting, let's go ahead. Our base is ready to paint now. I'm going to use Waverly Antique Wax here first, and then Debbie's Design Diary DIY White Swan Chalk Paint. I'm going to use the wax first because that base is really dark. And so I'm going to use that wax to make it really dark on my round circle piece, the top and the bottom as well. That way, when I paint over it and I distress it, they both kind of have the same color wood peeking through that distressed. Okay, that's done. So now I'm starting in with that first coat of chalk paint, which we all know that first coat never looks good. So I actually go about 3 coats, but I show kind of working into 2 coats. And as you can see, I'm kind of doing the whole thing at first. Even the bottom will get done. So the wax is now melted. It does take 2 of these to fill that little round vase from Dollar Tree. I actually like how when the wax is melted, it has a really pretty kind of violet tint to it. I wish it would stay that color, but obviously, as it firms back up, it goes completely white color again, but that's okay because it will match our little candle holder bottom portion there. Get both of those poured in and set that aside for a little bit. I'm going to come back in for my second coat of paint here. Like I said, I do 3 coats. 3 coats just looks better. And then once I get that 3rd coat on, it's dry, it's ready to go. Of course, we're going to come in and distress this up. And I don't use sandpaper this time to distress it up because I want it a little bit of a softer look. Look at the violet on that. I mean, doesn't that look pretty? I know it doesn't stay that color though, like I said. So here's what it looks like painted 3 coats. Like I said, no sandpaper. I'm going to take a rag and some water. Now you can spray your rag, I can talk, your towel, your rag, whatever you want to call it, or spray your project and you just rub it. It's called a wet distress. And this process works on like water-based chalk paint only. That's how it works the best. You can do it on other paints, but you're going to scrub a long, long time. But when you do this, see how it just kind of gives a nice kind of melted look versus that scratched look from sandpaper. And it actually is nicer as you're going around like the bulbousness, is that a word, of this vase, of this candle base on the bottom. It makes it nice when you're going over rounded surfaces like that. Makes it nicer for when you're going in, areas that, have dimension. It curves in, crevices, that kind of thing. It just works nicely. Once that's complete, we're going to go back to our candle, remove that little metal plate, and cut our wick to the length we want it to be. Nice and easy. And then this is what my wet distress looks like. I think it looks nice. And then I've just got some of this black and white checkered ribbon. I believe it came from Walmart. I'm just going to tie a simple bow right up underneath the part where the candle's going to sit on. Later, I do go by and I'm like, it needs something. So out of my supply, I grab a cute little tag and I pin it to the center of the bow. You'll see that in the final looks. In the end, that makes this project complete. I think it's super quick, super easy. What do you think? Let's move on to our last project, number 4. Now, this is going to be different for some of you, but I really wanted to do this, and I kind of really dupe it. I add different things, but I love this. It takes me back to my mixed media, shabby chic scrapbooking days, and I just had to recreate it. Now, in order to do this, I'm using this beautiful rusted muffin tin I found at the junk hunt. Let's have a moment of silence because we're going to cover it up. Okay, here we go. I'm going to use heavy white gesso for this. I like to use this because it has kind of like this grit in it. It has like tooth in it, like your teeth tooth. Okay, and it helps when it has this tooth in it for other product that you're going to use on it, other liquids and paints and sprays and everything, to stick to it really nice, especially if you're using like paper and stuff. I probably really didn't need to use it on this. I could have just used chalk paint, but I wanted to use the gesso. Now, as I was doing that, I realized, I forgot to punch a hole. I want a hole in the other side because there's already one already fabricated into the muffin tin. So I use my crocodile tool to do another hole, and then I will finish doing the pouncing up and down on the muffin tin front in the centers of the cups and all that kind of stuff. But as I got to the back, I'm like, I'm done with this. So I just spray paint the back white off camera. I'm going to bring in Antique Waverly Wax with water because I want to brush it in, as you see here, into those kind of indents around the outside of the muffin cup. And I still have to add some more texture inside the muffin cup, but I had to stop to add this in because, as you can see, as I go to wipe it off, it's going to turn everything like brown. So I spray water in to clean it up a little bit better. It doesn't take the gesso off, adding all that liquid, because that gesso has tooth, whereas if I use chalk paint, probably adding all that liquid, I would have wiped the paint right back off. Then I was able to go in and add more gesso, so that's a reason for that gesso inside the muffin cups. And now I'm taking a needle and I'm just scraping along that indented area to further bring out that stain and the metal of the muffin cup, and then using some tweezers to scrape along the sides and the front to add even a little bit more rustic to our project. Once I'm satisfied with this, I'm going to bring in a lot of scrapbooking stuff, okay? You can bring in anything you would like, but I just have all this stuff. I'm using paper flowers. I've got resin frames, all sorts of things like that. You could use artificial flowers. I have a little mini fence here. This actually came from Joann's. They have it in their wood section. It is really cheap, just a few dollars. These resin frames and like butterflies and things like this, you can find at Hobby Lobby in the scrapbooking section, but just anything you would like, really. Even sticks from the backyard. So I'm going to figure out how I want my sticks on here, and then I'm just going to use my Beacon Fabri-Tac glue and get everything glued on. I appreciate you staying with me on this because, like I said earlier, even if this isn't your style, it is fun to watch the creativity. And by letting me do this, you don't have to watch me do like another shabby chicy like this for, like another year or two. I've got it out of my system. Let's move back to our farmhouse rustic primitive style, okay? But I had a lot of fun doing this, and like I said earlier as well, this is a complete dupe. Whoever created this, I don't know who it was, but thank you. I know I copied you, but it's because I love it. Thank you for your inspiration. So now what I'm doing is I'm just placing things where I want them. I put the little frame on. I'm starting to put flowers on. I'm adding the little fence I want it to stick up a little bit, so I'm adding it to the branches from the backyard. I'm even bringing in some like crocheted lace and stuff like that. I mean, like, really, this is shabby chic, but it's so fun. I just love it. And I'm basically just kind of keeping my design along that middle area. This is some cute little puffy heart trim. I think you can get that at like Joann's. And then I'm going to bring in, this is some polyester upholstery thread. I'm wrapping a big long piece around my fingers, and then I'm just placing it right here in the flowers. Just a little bit of glue, because other flowers and stuff will glue on top. We'll hold that in place. And let me finish my thought. I'm basically placing everything just right along the areas of the sticks, just trying to keep it in the center. I'm adding a little piece of ephemera here, a little cute ticket, because it matched the flowers, kind of had that aqua tone to it. As you see, I'm doing kind of aquas and kind of cream colors, adding in some more flowers, bringing in our little resin butterfly here, a little more glue, more flowers over the top. But I just love how this turned out. Love the color palette I went with. Here's like Dollar Tree butterflies, paper butterflies you can get from Dollar Tree, of course. That's why they're Dollar Tree butterflies. And then I punched a few more out. These are the punches I was talking about earlier. I think I got these at Michael's in store. Just punch them really easy, just like that, through some cardstock or paper, and you come out with these different sizes here. They're really cute to use. So just using some glue to place a couple more butterflies on here. A little trio, because things look good in odd numbers. So with the resin butterfly and the 2 paper butterflies, now I have a trio of butterflies. And then I want to add this cute little scrapbooking sign here. I'm putting some cardboard on the back because I want to lift it up. And then placing it at the bottom. I thought it would be cute with the word moments. And then, you know me, I like to add some splatters. That's why I think I love the project too initially, because she had some splatters on there. So I'm going to cover my stuff up. I've taken some black chalk paint mixed with water. I'm going to use a fan brush, dip it in the paint, wipe off the excess, and then tap splatters just around the muffin tin. Once that's dry and complete, I'm taking some more of that silk ribbon from my supply, and I'm putting them through those holes. I'm just going to tie a little knot on each side, make it nice and easy, cut off the excess. It does hang very well. Again, you'll see that in the final looks, and you've endured it. That makes this project complete. What do you think? So I really hope you enjoyed all of these projects. I had a lot of fun with ideas in mind as I went thrifting and found these pieces that I could remake, put my own little spin on it, well, all except for the last one. I did use different product though. I didn't use the same stuff she had, but it was just too cute not to dupe completely. But again, thank you to the person that created it for your inspiration. I hope you find it as a compliment that I just wanted to recreate it how you had yours. Please leave me a comment down below. Let me know which one was your favorite. Please give this video a thumbs up. If you're new to my channel because you're coming over from Emily's or Sandra's channel, welcome. I hope you enjoyed what I made for you today. And if you walked in here for the first time, you're just checking things out. You walked in here on a whim. You're checking things out. You're digging what you saw. Make sure before any of you newbies click off, please hit that subscribe button and notification bell so you don't miss out on another video from me. Remember, I will have the link in my description box to the playlist that will have Emily, Sandra, and my video all together in one convenient location. It'll also be pinned in my comments. I'll also have the links to Emily and Sandra's channel in my description box, although if you go right to the playlist, you know, you found them already, but I will have the channels there for you. Thank you, Emily and Sandra. You know I love collaborating with you. You know I love both of you. I love our friendship. Thank you, thank you, thank you for this collaboration together. Before I go, I'm going to leave you with one final thought. Taking each day as it comes with God in control can often be difficult. Perhaps your life is like a type A personality life. You're always on the go, driven to succeed. Everything must happen your way. You're highly focused on tasks and you dislike wasting time. Perhaps your life is like that of an expert puzzler. In essence, you are a mastermind at completing puzzles. You love the gameplay. You select each and every piece, flipping it one way, then another, determining its exact placement. Puzzles come in various pieces, sizes, shapes, and you love the challenge of being in control of assembling it because no matter how much time it takes, you want every piece to fit just right until it's complete. Lastly, maybe you're like a type C personality life. With any daily task, you tend to be detail-oriented. You think logically, you check and recheck your work to make sure everything is free from error, and you like to be prepared for any and all situations that come your way. From whatever vantage point your personality drives your life, the one thing that should always be on your mind with any given situation is that God is in control, not you. He is the one who created you and placed you where you need to succeed. He is the one who arranges all the pieces of your life in exactly the right position, and He is the one who makes sure everything will come out all right. Your heart should be seeking God every day and in all things, because He is on the throne advocating for you, guiding you, showing you the way through your situation. Today, you may be feeling that your life is out of control, and you don't have a good grasp on how things are going to turn out. You don't know which direction to go, and you don't know how to fight to keep your life on track. But here's the thing, God does. So trust that He is doing the right thing, even when you cannot see. It's time to trust where He is leading you, and it's time to trust His judgment. Allow Him to navigate your path with His wisdom and strength. He will always put each piece of your life right where it needs to be. He won't clock out at the 11th hour, and He will always get the job done to His perfection without hesitation. With Him, your life will be the best it can be. In the Bible, the book of Ephesians, chapter 3 and verse 20, it states that God is able to do immeasurably more than all we ask or imagine, according to His power that is at work within us. So release your own thoughts of having to do this all by yourself. Let go of any doubt or fear and replace them with His grace and His wisdom. Allow your heart to lean on Him. Allow your mind to grasp that God has the strength to hold you upright. His power will work all things together for good. God has you. He will never fail you, and He will never let you go. I thank you for sharing your time with me, and I'll talk with you again soon. Bye.